Hello everyone, welcome to the fifth part of texture painting videos. So as you can see, I have already completed the model, and yes, I did not record it because actually I could not record it because my software was crashing a lot and it was very painful for me to record. So yeah, I didn't record it and I rather focused on completing this model. So the reason it crashed a lot was maybe because my file was very heavy because of lot of layers here. I had like almost 50 layers, and it won't even open my file. So once it opened my file, so first of all, the first thing I did was to merge all the layers in one single layer, and then I started doing the rest of the texture painting. So anyways, I have this single layer over here. The name is texture, and it contains texture for all the UV sets, and there's one extra layer, layer 49, which has this information about the string. So probably I don't need it anymore, and I can just merge it into texture layer. Even merging and all is working very fine now. Otherwise, when I had 50 layers, even I couldn't even merge my layers, and using gradient tool, using polygon fill tool, everything was a problem. So my piece of advice, if you are going to paint textures in 3D Coat, keep layer as minimum as possible so that you can have a very lightweight file. Also further about this video, I think in this video I'm just going to tell you about how to export stuff from 3D Coat to Maya, or few precautions while exporting or importing things from Maya to 3D Coat. Okay, so let's get started, and the first thing I'll do now is to export this model for Maya, because the next part is to rig this model. Let's export it for Maya. We'll go to File, click on Export Object and Textures. After that, you will get a dialog box saying Export Options, and you have to define your output mesh. So I'll click on this, and I'll define my output mesh name. So this is like I already saved this file, so I'm just gonna replace this one. So the name is Arjun full body underscore textured.obj. So yeah, we are saving the obj just to save our UV sets information as well. And here we have a preset for export which is called 3ds Max Arch Design, but I would like to have Arnold standard because I'll do my final rendering in Arnold using Maya 15 or 17. So yeah, Arnold renders 4 maps: diffuse, specular, roughness and normal. I didn't paint specular, roughness and normal at all, so there is no point in keeping these maps. So I'll just delete this, and I only have diffuse map painted, so I'll keep this one in PNG format. Once you are done with all the settings, just click on OK, and it will export all the textures for you. Okay, so you have your OBJ here, and all the corresponding textures are in PNG files. Like this one is for arms, this one is for the arrow, this one is for belt, this is for the dhoti, bow, and all these. So we have all the textures, we have OBJ. Now let's call this file, this OBJ file, into the Maya. Just select the file, drag and drop it in Maya interface, and I have my file here. Turning off the grid now because really don't need it. And now I'm just gonna check all the UVs and everything. So and the mesh, so everything came out very well. The mesh is intact, like the way we exported at the time of retopo. Everything came out really nice. And to check the textures, you can press 6 on your keyboard. So it will load up all the textures. So textures came out really well. Everything is in place. No shifting in textures, nothing. Everything is intact. Okay, but still it is not ready for the rig. The reason is we have to check the mesh. We have to optimize this mesh first. So let's say we have this eye over here and another eye, but there is a problem. This eye is mixed with all this other mesh. So first of all, we have to separate all these meshes. It will just make rigger work a lot simpler because he will have individual meshes to deal with. So we have to separate this mesh. Now this eye is fine, this is no problem. This bow is fine, this arrow is fine, but to separate this one, we have to go to mesh and click on separate. Now as soon as you click on separate, you will see something like this. There's not major problem here. It's just like we have to reassign all these materials to these meshes again. To reassign these materials, just click on all these corresponding UV sets. So like we had these 4 objects in one single UV set. Yeah, so we had like these 4 objects into one single UV set. Just go into this 3D code, and if I go to torso extras, you can see that these 5 things were in one single UV set. So I'm just gonna select all this and apply a new texture or existing texture saying torso extras. So if you notice, like it exported all the materials or all these textures based on the UV set we had created over here. So really easy job, really convenient. So now once I apply this, you see that textures are back again, no problem. Now this is easy work. I mean, we can retain our textures, but I would advise, while to avoid this thing first. I mean, when you are exporting from Maya, your object from Maya, try to export it as individual objects, because when exporting this file from Maya, I didn't pay much attention, and what it did after that was, if I show you over here, paint objects, I received the OBJ file like these 5 paint objects in 3D code. So these 5 paint objects are these ones. So one is having the eye, another is having the body, then the bow, arrow, and the hair. Honestly, these all meshes should have come individually as an individual paint object, and I don't know what did I do wrong, but this shouldn't happen. And 3D code didn't do anything here. 3D code just took all this information as 5 objects, and it exported all this information over here. So we had to pay attention while exporting objects from Maya to 3D code first, and then this problem will be solved. If you didn't get what I just said, just drop me a comment to re-explain it, and I'll probably re-explain it in some another video maybe. Okay, back to work. So we have to retain textures for all these other objects as well. So right click, go to existing material, and this one is belt. Okay, this one is quiver. And finally this one is dhoti extras 1. So it's good idea to keep naming all your UV sets, all your materials, because it makes your life a lot easier to when you are trying to identify these materials. Okay, so all these objects, we are able to retain the material information, texture information for all these, but there is a problem here. This single UV mesh, or actually this single mesh, does have like 1, 2, 3, 4 UV sets in it. Now we cannot assign one single material on this. If I try to go like assign face 1 on this mesh, so it worked out till the neck, but after this, these rest of the UV sets are giving me a problem. So what I have to do here is to select all these polys and then assign material, rather than select the entire mesh and try to assign material. So I'm just gonna undo it back and go to isolation mode. Now let's select this head, or maybe first of all I'll just assign a face material. So that face is done. Now for the arms, I'll select this much poly and this much poly on both sides. For that, we'll turn on the symmetry on object X, so it's already on. Good stuff. Press F11 and select all these polys. Press B to turn off your soft selection if it is turned on then. Okay, and shift and this dot to expand your selection. So we have selected this much of mesh. Now we'll right click and assign arms material to this. If I press F8 and check it, everything came out very properly. The hands came out properly, this bracelet came out properly. So now two more UV sets are left, one is torso and one is lower body. So I'll do lower body first. Select the entire thing, make sure we don't have anything else selected. Right click, assign existing material and lower body. Okay, very well. Now the only part left is this area, and selecting this will be a bit of a problem because you cannot just drag and select this mesh. So let's go to this tool, paint selection, and we'll select mesh like this. Now it is kind of difficult for me to see which faces are selected, so I'll press 5 and then I'll select all these polygons. Okay, once done, again shift and dot to expand the selection, and I have few extra faces selected over here, so just gonna deselect it. This is good, perfect. And I think yeah, 2 or 3 faces extra here, just deselect them. Control click, that's all you have to do to deselect these. Oh, I accidentally deselected these faces as well. Make sure I don't have any faces left and I don't have any extra faces selected. Okay, now I can go to right click, assign existing material and torso for this one. So yeah, everything applied correctly, would work. Okay, so I separated the mesh and I successfully retained all the textures as well. So this model now can be given for rigging, but if you still want to optimize it even further, then the rest of the video is for you. Otherwise you can just stop the video here and that's it for you. Just give it for the rigging. Now when I say about optimization, I mean to say that you see these black edges over here, I don't want this. The reason it is happening because I am using as a soften edge to my mesh. I'm using this soften edge property. It might happen to you that you are using a smooth mesh. By pressing 3 you might give your model like this, but I'm not going to give my model like this. I'm just pressing 1 and this is how my model goes for the rigging. Now the real problem will be these black shading which appears over here, and to the matter of fact it comes in render also. You might think that if I put lighting and all it will not come, but it comes in render also, and I have checked it. So I have to get rid of this. First of all, I have to turn off this soft edge and make it hard edge, but it will not happen because normals are locked. So before even doing anything, I have to go to mesh display and unlock normals. The first thing first, if you are using Maya 17 you will get unlock normals over here. If you are using Maya 15 or any other version, then you might see unlock normals in normal menu itself. So you might have to Google out this option, where can you find unlock normals, and then use it. Okay, so once I use unlock normal, then you can see that the display of my mesh changes and it looks very chiseled. So here you can see there is no this blackness and all, but if I go over here it's very sharp edges. So I need a blend of these two. So what I'm gonna do is to select this entire mesh again. You can press Ctrl Shift A also to select everything. I'm just gonna select all this, go to mesh display and go to set normal angle. Now this normal angle is like it compares normals of two faces, and it says okay, if angle between these two normals is greater than 80 degree, then I'm gonna give a hard edge between these two faces. If it is less than 80 degree, then there's gonna be a smooth edge. So I'll not make it 80 as of now, I'll keep it 60 and apply and close. So immediately you will notice that I have these soft edges all over the mesh, but when I go to an angle which is like more than 60 degree, for example here, you can see these hard edges, right, over the bow as well, over the arrow as well. But if I go to faces, so these polygons, these corresponding polygons are having a less than 60 degree of angle compared to each other. So these polygons came out as smooth edged polygons. Nice work. But our work is still not done. I mean, we cannot be sure unless we have cross-checked everything. So I'm going to select this big mesh first, go to isolation mode, and let's check everything, whether everything came out correctly or not. Also, I'm just pressing 5 to go into shaded display directly, so that I can see any chiseled edges correctly. So like we have these edges over here, these sharp edges, I think these are fine. These sharp edges are also fine. I would need those to differentiate between arms and armor. These sharp edges are perfectly fine because we have a belt over here. Now this is not good. You see these two sharp edges below the bum, so we don't need that. So what I'm gonna do is to select these two polys and shift right click, go to mesh, display, set normal angle, and I'll set it to 80 degree, apply and close, and done. You don't see any sharp edges anymore. Okay, in the shoe as well, it is also fine. So I think our mesh looks great now. Now I don't see these black polygons, that weird shading thing that happens on polygons. Also, you don't see all the sharp edges everywhere. So it is blend of these two things. Okay, now I'm just gonna check rest of the objects as well. Okay, so everything looks fine. I don't think I need to make any more changes. Now this mesh is almost rig ready. Few more things we have to do is before giving anything for the rigging or any mesh for the rigging, you definitely should maintain the outliner properly. But before that, these eyes looks little weird. Look at these eyes. So I want to position these eyes properly. Go to modify, center pivot, so that we have pivot at the center, and I can freely rotate these eyes. And now I'm going to rotate these eyes. I think 10 will be the fine value. Okay, and here -10. Once done, let's select all this mesh and modify freeze transformation again, just to have 0 values in attribute editor. Okay, so eyes are set. Now we want to manage these meshes. So let's first of all check all these meshes, and the first thing we'll do is to rename all these meshes. But before that, these all meshes are in a group. There is a sphere over here, and these 2 other meshes, 3 other meshes. So let's put all of them into single group. And there's this transform node. If I delete this, you'll see that I'm losing all my textures. So to get rid of this, just go to edit mesh. Just go to edit, delete all by type, and history. So you'll get rid of this transform node, and you don't have any history information on any of your mesh. This makes your mesh super light. Now select this group, edit and ungroup. So we don't have any group anymore. All meshes have 0 values. Now it's time for us to rename these meshes. Alright, so this mesh is complete now. I have managed the outliner properly. As you can see, I have renamed everything. Like for the hair, I have used geo underscore hair. For mustache, I have used geo underscore mustache. For the body, geo underscore body, and so on. Now I used geo underscore prefix for all the meshes. For all the groups, I used group underscore as a prefix, and for those group which are holding the mesh, I used prefix of group and suffix underscore geo, so that it becomes very clear that this group is holding meshes. And there are 4 groups as of now for all these mirrored objects like eyes, earrings, shoulders, and forearms. And I think that pretty much sums up everything, how you should make the model ready for the rig. We have the textures, we have the proper loops arranged, we have done retopo, and finally the mesh is clean, no history at all, outliner is clean, and you have like 0 values for all the transform nodes. So I hope you understand everything from this video series, and if you have anything else in mind which you want me to cover, just drop me a message and I'll try to make videos on that topic as well. And yeah, that's it for this video series. I'll see you in next one then. Bye bye.